and that she basically thanked him for him being able to help her like grieve her son in a sense, of being able to take care of another like baby boy in a sense, like healed a part of her. And then as she was like fading away, like blacking out, and he was holding her, she saw her son's face within Qin Shi, and she was like, oh my god, son, I see you, I'm looking up at you, where have you been this whole time? And she was like, mommy loves you. And he was like, I love you too, mom. So I guess as she was passing away, it's either she was close to the light and started to see her son, or she was so like, in and out, to where she was getting dazed with how much she loved her son and how much she loved being around uh, Qin Shi, basically. So yeah, after she dies, there ends up being like people who end up picking him up and bringing him to the palace. Chun Yen low-key looks like, at first I thought it was a sibling of his or a relative, because they look like they favor each other. They both have like that same black hair, so you could tell he really looked up to her as family and stuff like that, because you could see his his personality and also his clothing kind of mimic who she was in his life, and how he still carries her literally on his eyes, but as well as within his heart and his spirit. And then she basically told him, also I meant to mention that she told him like, you would make a fabulous king, and like how you were able to change my perspective and my hatred in my heart and put like warmth and love within it. Because at first she had malicious intention on becoming his sitter to like seek revenge and stuff like that, like the other townsfolk, but he ended up changing her heart. Well, like I already said, and she just told him like, you feel me, you'll make one great king. And he ended up doing that, you feel me, obviously, because king versus king. But like, yo, this is so crazy. And he's so cute, but it's sad right now because he's crying. But he's still wearing like kind of the same jewelry a little bit, because I can even see like, it's not like his earrings, but it's in his hair kind of. So when he turned 12, he ended up taking on the throne because his dad died. And he was like, just watch, I'm going to become the greatest king, as he's looking at um, his eye protection. That's why he always says, whatever path I go towards, I go down, is meant for me and is the right path. Because she said that to him before he passed away. She was like, follow the path that, like, you feel me, is most called to you in your heart, and you'll be okay. So, like, yeah, low-key getting a little, like, not emotional to where I'm gonna cry, but like, wow. Like, you cut me deep, Shrek. You really cut me deep. Like, he literally lived up to that. He became the first emperor to rule over all of China. Literally, like, and he also like installed like different architecture and stuff like that. I feel like he ended up being like the emperor who did like the Wall of China, I believe. I could be incorrect. I hope I'm not. But he ended up like installing like roads and stuff like that for them to travel. So he was a big impact at that time, for Chinese history, and also for ruling his country. So with his divine treasure, he's able to maximize his martial arts. That's what Brunhilde states. But as well as with her sister's power, she literally is perfect to align with him. What did she say again? Her sister's hidden power is defender of the army, which literally fits the five elements of what he learned by defeating Shiyu. Come on, guys. I hope you guys are picking up what I'm putting down, or I hope everything is flowing. I feel like it is, because it's not hard doing this. I actually enjoy this series, so it's not hard to talk about it. I love it. Hopefully y'all love it here too. Okay, so we're back fighting again in the arena, and Hades is realizing and figured out Qin Shi's technique, and how, like, you feel me, he's hitting his like pinpoints in his body of the chi flowing to like disturb him while trying to strike him down. And so like Hermes and Ares are like, yo, like, what is Hades gonna do? Is he gonna be able to like like, you know what I'm saying, like pull this off in a sense, because Aries, he's becoming a little anxious, saying like, how are you supposed to defend yourself or anticipate a hit that you can't see? You get what I'm saying? Okay, so then after like that, Hades was like, you see how I want to say Poseidon so bad, they're like twins. Hades is like, yo, this is gonna be like an interesting match, and like Qin Shi was like, how? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm excited, still smiling or whatever while in battle. And now we came to a part to where we're in Beelzebub's lab. He has a whole bunch of weird ass creatures in some like green liquid, like, you know what I'm saying, preserving them or whatever. He's watching the fight, and then one of his creatures, while he's watching the fight, ends up like banging on the glass and literally busts it open and like starts attacking him or whatever, and then he tries to like kill him, and then he ends up slashing off like a piece of his arm or whatever. He was like, oh, like, you don't work, like you're too slow, you're not useful or whatever. And then as the creature is trying to like escape, you remember how I told you Poseidon killed like off his like first brother, the brother that was before like Hades and Zeus? What's his name again? Hold on. Adamas, that's his name, Adamas, and he ends up coming, like, you know, like I said, and destroying the monster before it leaves. He was like, you're better off in here, and then he kills him. But Adamas is literally, like I said, Poseidon ended up like killing him, but he ended up getting put together by Beelzebub, but he ended up getting like, you know, treated while down there in like the Helheim, and, you know, having abuse and stuff like that. You know, they tortured him and all that shit. And then Beelzebub ended up preserving him and saving him, and it was under the orders of Hades, and that's why Adamas is like, you know, like feeling this match heavy, and also he made a guest appearance or whatever. And then Beelzebub, and then I forgot who said like, you know, I'm surprised that, you know, you're still alive, but Adamas was like, why would you be? Even Poseidon knew like I ended up like coming back to life or whatever and being preserved. So it's like that. Adamas was like talking to Beelzebub like, you know, you're making creatures again, like what was the reason of you like doing this, like like you literally created Poppyus, like what's wrong with you in a sense? And he was like, I'm trying to create something that can kill me. I'm like, yo, Coach, you cool? Like, you all right? Like, we need to place him on watch. You know what I mean? Like, this is. And Beelzebub feels real confident in Hades and saying that there's no way that he would lose to a mortal. And Adamas is like, okay, if that's what you think, but not saying it in like that remark on how I said it. But he was just like, okay. Yeah, he's like, there's no way like Hades can be defeated. Yeah, he wasn't. How I said it came off a little sarcastic. And Hades isn't a hater again. He's literally acknowledging him like, bro, like you're one good of a fighter, bro. Like, you feel me? Like, you're pushing me to my capacity here, G. Like, I gotta give you your props, because anybody else will be done for, and you're putting up a pretty good fight. You know what I'm saying? And Genchi, he's just like smiling, like he's just, you know, smiling through the pain, basically, in a sense, because, you know, he's taking on pain. Let's see. So he was like, you are worthy to be called king. And he was like, that's the very reason why I'm not holding anything back. And he literally inflicted a whole gash wound across his chest so that Jin Chi will be collecting collateral damage. That's messed up, but you know what I'm saying? You know, sometimes you gotta pull out the crazy shit for you to win. And then Zeus was like, he'll sacrifice, he was talking about Hades, he'll sacrifice anything to win. He was like, that's why like he's the king of Helheim. He ends up doing like the same song how Poseidon did while he was battling Conjuro, when he was battling him, and he literally smeared himself in like blood, and he was like, you feel me, now it's time to battle, you feel me, now it's time to put in this work. And the reason why Hades covered himself with blood, so that in his own blood, so that he would be able to see when he does like the punctured thingy to see his stars, when the wind blows, he could just brush it off and it won't change his trajectory, and he'll be able to still strike in the way he wants to. And he was like, it's just wind. And Ares was like, oh, I see what he did there. You feel me?